everybody, someone say I'm the Reverse, and welcome to my tier list for the Arrowverse villains' suits, or costumes, or looks, whatever you want to call it. Just the aesthetic of all the villains, whether it's the quality of the suit and how it's made, or just how well it's designed, and basically just how, aesthetically pleasing it is to look at. But yeah, let's start right at the top with Alice, who is going to be put right in the D tier, unfortunately. It's just that her suit, her costume, her look is just really boring. It's just a jacket with some clothes on, which, of course, they weren't going to make her like this skin-tight fabric leather suit, since she's not that kind of villain. Her suit works for her character. It's not made very well, and it doesn't look very good. That's why it ranks at the very bottom of the list. Next, we have Non, who isn't a great villain, but his suit isn't that bad, so I'm going to put it in the C tier. His suit, it's made pretty well. It looks decent. It's just not very, it's not very memorable. It's just a black suit with a few lines on it and like a Kryptonian emblem on it, and whatever that shining blue light thingy is on him. I forgot what the purpose of that is. But yeah, the suit is perfect for him because it's boring, just like him. Next, we have Rhea, who I'm going to put in the C tier as well. I think Rhea, she obviously is the queen of Daxam, so obviously she would wear what she wears in the show. It's just that what she wears in the show doesn't really look that good. It's made, like, the quality of the suit isn't bad. It looks quite good. It's just the colors and just overall, she doesn't really look like a villain. It's not very intimidating, and there's really, like, nothing special about it. Next, we have Rain, who has an awesome suit. We're going to put her in the A tier. Obviously, she is a dark Kryptonian, and that's what her entire suit is about. And it looks great. It fits her character. It's made well. It looks awesome, and it's intimidating. It just checks all the boxes. Next, we have Lex Luthor, who I'm going to be putting in the B tier. Even though it is just a normal tuxedo, suit, whatever he's wearing, it is comic accurate. Lex Luthor does wear just a suit most of the time in the comics, and it looks well on John. It looks good on John Cryer, and he's just as intimidating wearing this as he is when he wears the Electro suit, which would also be in the B tier, since I think the CGI is a little bit wonky on that, but the design is kind of cool. Next, we have Gamine, who I'm not going to be putting her in because of her normal, like, dress look she always wears, but right at the end of the season, she has her true form, her technology-looking thing with her tentacles. I'm going to be putting this in the B tier. I think it looks pretty cool. It's just that the CGI isn't amazing. I think it looks cool, and I think as a design, it would look awesome if it was done to perfection. The CGI isn't great, which is why it's in B tier. But if it was done correctly and we got to see it in full and we got to see it longer, it'd probably land in the A tier. Next, we have Vandal Savage, who I'm going to be putting in the D tier. Just like Alice, he's just wearing like a coat or whatever, and it's just not very good looking. And sorry if you can hear the sirens in the background or something. I think they're fire trucks or whatever. But Vandal Savage, like I was saying, he's just wearing like a coat, a trench coat, obviously pants and stuff like that. Just normal human clothes. It's just not that special. I think he does wear it well. I think he looks cool with it. It's just doesn't really hold up to anyone else. Mollis, I'm going to be putting him in the A tier. I think his CGI is really what brings this it brings his look up. Without the good CGI, I think this would probably land maybe in the B or C tier. But the CGI holds up, and I think it looks very good, and that's why it lands in the A tier. What also works for this look is that the whole season was building up to his true self. We never got to see his true form. We only got to see him infecting Nora Dark and Damien Dark, and not just until the end we get to see his true form, and it looks great, and I really like it. Next we have Neuron, who I'm going to be putting in the C tier. Now for Neuron, I'm not talking about his true form, which is his sort of smoky cloud demon form. I'm going to be talking about his human form, or his quote-unquote human form, when he has, like, the brown face with all the holes in it. If you guys have trypophobia, I think that's how you pronounce it. You probably don't like his look, which trypophobia, however you say it, is a fear of holes, like a lot of holes. So you probably don't like his face at all. But I think the design, as gross as it is and how as not comic accurate as it is, I think it actually looks quite cool, which is probably an unpopular opinion. I think it looks kind of cool. It is definitely intimidating, and yeah, it lands itself in the C tier just because it's not amazing, and his costume, other than, the look of his face and his hands and stuff, his costume isn't anything special. Next we have Lachesis, who I'm going to be putting in the F tier. This goes for any of her costumes. They weren't trying to do anything special, so, they weren't going for something that looked amazing, and they just completely failed. All of her looks, whether it's her kind of bluish gray look in the season finale, or one of her looks before that when she was in Hell, it just doesn't look that good. She wasn't a great villain, and she doesn't have a great costume. But now we're going into the villains from The Flash. We have Reverse Flash, which obviously is going into the S tier. Such an iconic costume at this point, and it's so well made, and it just looks amazing. The yellow into the black and the red eyes, it's just great. I love the Reverse Flash suit. If his suit got updated, like if he got an updated version that kind of matched Barry's season 6 suit, and they just made it work with Tom Cavanagh, who's built a little bigger than Barry, so they'd have to kind of make some alterations to the suit. But if they upgraded it with the fabric look, I think it could look great. But the version we've had since season 1, we've seen it in season 1, season 2 of Legends, season 2 of Flash, season 3 of Flash, Crisis on Earth X, season 5 of Flash, and most recently season 6 of Flash briefly. So we've seen it a lot, and it looks just as good on Matt Lesher as it does on Tom Cavanagh. And yeah, looks great. Next we have Zoom, who's going to be joining the Reverse Flash in the S tier. Another great speedster suit. The black look looks amazing. I absolutely love the blue lightning going around the costume, and the blue lightning trail, and his black eyes, and his voice, and obviously the well-made costume. Everything just comes together to make an awesome-looking costume. The only thing that I don't like about this suit is the fact that the top half is kind of disjointed from the bottom half, and it looks really awkward at certain frames, and yeah. But everything from the demon fingers to the mask to the voice to the lightning, it just looks amazing. Next we have Savitar, who's again going into the S tier. I do prefer the CGI version since it is a little bit more slimmer and looks way better. But the live action version, at certain points, looks pretty good. You know, the suit's design itself, the metal with the blue lights coming through, it always looks great. It's just the fit of the costume that changes throughout the season. At first, the CGI suit looks great. There are certain shots when the CGI kind of falters, the animation looks kind of meh, and it doesn't hold up that good. But once he comes out of the Speed Force, he gets the live action version. Some shots look great, some shots look pretty bad, and yeah, it's just kind of a mixed bag. Now we have the Thinker, aka Clifford DeVoe, who, for this list, I am going to be considering his look from the early episodes when he's in the chair with the leather jacket and the pants, and he has the thing on his head, all the tubes going into his brain. I'm going to be putting this into the C tier. The look is, it looks intimidating, and what they're trying to go for. He's not a physically demeaning villain, you know, which is why I think this suit fits his character. It just doesn't look that good, you know. It's just a leather jacket, and the thing on his head looks really awkward with his skin like puffing out of it, and all the tubes coming in it. It's kind of a creepy costume, just especially after episode 7 when we see all those tubes go directly into his brain and stuff. It is kind of creepy, but yeah, it doesn't look great, which is why it lands in the C tier. Cicada, who is easily the worst villain the Flash has ever seen, he goes into the B tier. Actually, no, the A tier. I think his suit looks actually really nice. It is a little bit different from the Cicada from the comics. Not too different, it's just the colors. And he has the mask and the hood now. I think it looks great. It's very intimidating, and along with the breathing sound, it's great. The voice acting isn't great from Chris Klein. I think the voice itself could be very intimidating if it was delivered better, and the acting and just the writing of the character. I think Cicada was the biggest missed opportunity on the show. The way he presented himself at the beginning, he's just a very intimidating looking sounding. He's just a very intimidating villain throughout, and I like his costume. And I don't like it as much with Cicada 2, She-Cada, Grace Gibbons, because it just doesn't fit as nice. I think it's a suit designed for a man that they just put on a woman. They didn't really redesign it that much, which I think they should have, because it doesn't really look that good on her. But yeah. Moving on, we have Bloodwork as his monster form. I'm going to be putting this in the A tier. Also, you could consider his human form, not as his Ramsey Rosso form, but as him in the shirt with the veins all over his face and his black teeth and his black eyes. That could land in the A tier as well, since I think that looks really good and it looks very creepy, even though it is pretty simple. But for this list, we are considering his monster form, which is his comic accurate form, and it looks great. The CGI is almost there. You know, it does look a little bit fakey, and the animations look a little bit weird, and him talking looks weird with Ramsey's voice. I think all that looks kind of weird, but the overall look, I think, works. The CGI looks surprisingly great. Considering they were saving money for Crisis, I think it looks really nice, and I think it deserves to be in the A tier. Next, we have Mirror Master, who's going to be going straight to the F tier for Flash Season 6, which I thought was a great season so far. Mirror Master's costume just doesn't hold up. I think it looks really dumb, and I think the shiny, I don't know what the leathery kind of, I don't know what they were trying to go for. It just doesn't really work. But yeah. As a villain, I don't think she's absolutely terrible. If we got to see the end of her storyline, perhaps she could have ended great. and her last 3 episodes could have redeemed her character completely. But with what we got, she wasn't a great villain, and her suit just wasn't that good. And the fact that she could, like, make this cannon in her arm and shoot people with it just doesn't, I don't really like it that much. It didn't look good, and it just was kind of a weird thing to have, since that's not really with her skill set, to just shoot lasers. I don't know. Next, we're on to the Arrow villains. First, we have the Dark Archer, Malcolm Merlin. He uses this suit multiple times. I think it looks great. I'm going to be putting it straight into the A tier. It does kind of look a little bit cheap, but it makes sense. It is the first season of the Arrowverse. But it does look a tiny bit cheap. It looks great, though. The design itself is great. The way they made it isn't amazing, but the design of it is awesome. I love the mask and how it just shows his eyes, and I love the dark aesthetic to it. I think it just looks great. And it also looks great on Tommy when we go to Earth 2 in season 8. I think Tommy wears it well as well. But it just looks amazing. Now we have Deathstroke, who's going straight to the S tier. This suit is awesome looking. The mask, the military look to it, everything about the suit just looks awesome, and it is definitely one of, if not the best suit from Arrow, and I love it. It just looks so good. Ra's al Ghul, regardless of what suit we're talking about, he is going in the C tier. Whether you're talking about a shirtless look he wore when he was fighting Oliver on the cliff, or whether you're talking about what we can see in the picture if you zoom in, sort of his League of Assassins robes kind of look, or if you're talking about the look he has in the finale, which is identical to Al-Sahim and all the other assassins. I think he lands in the C tier regardless. He's kind of a boring villain, kind of forgettable, and so are his costumes. They work with what his character is, but I think it just doesn't look amazing. Damien Dark, also, we're going to be putting in the C tier. Just like Lex Luthor, he has just a tuxedo. I just don't think he wears it as well, because one, Lex Luthor's suit is comic accurate, and Lex Luthor wearing a suit is kind of a staple now. It's kind of iconic, the look. Damien Dark, not so much, and I think John Cryer looks better with the suit than Nick McDonough, I think his name is. I don't know. But yeah, I think his costumes in Legends look better, just like his character is better. But we are counting his suit from Arrow Season 4, since he was the main villain of that season. Yeah, it's just a black suit, and it doesn't look that good. It doesn't look as good as Lex Luthor. For Prometheus, we're going to be putting him in the A tier. Honestly, other than Savitar, I'd say that Prometheus probably has the coolest redesign from the comics in the entire Arrow. Maybe Zoom, too, since Zoom is just a carbon copy of the Reverse Flash in the comics. But yeah, Prometheus, the difference here from his comic book suit is just amazing. I love this suit so much. It resembles the early Arrow suits, but with the mask, kind of looks like a towels over his face or something, cloth. It just looks insanely cool, and the character itself is amazing. He's a great villain. For my favorite season of Arrow ever. It's just that the suit it looks a little bit cheap, which I is probably supposed to, since Prometheus isn't supposed to look like this professional, fabric, leather-clad warrior. He's kind of just got this thrown-together cloth look, which I love. Don't get me wrong, but it does look a little bit cheap, but I think that's part of the intention. But yeah, let's move on to Ricardo Diaz, who I'm going to be putting in the B tier. in the comics, Ricardo Diaz has never really worn anything. You know, he's never really had a costume or anything. In the show, normally he's just wearing like maybe a trench coat and a vest or a t-shirt, and sometimes he wears a tank top. Season 6, Season 7, I think it works for his character, and it looks better than Damien Darhk in his suit, and Alice and Vandal Savage in their suits. I think this is one of the best sort of human, just normal clothes looks. I think Kirk Acevedo, is that how you say it? I think he wears it really well, and I think the Dragon, Ricardo Diaz, is a very underrated villain. And I think his costume, even though it's sort of, it is very underwhelming, it does look pretty cool. But yeah. Next we have Emiko Queen, who I'm going to be putting in the B tier. This is kind of, the way I've looked at it is it's kind of just like a discount Speedy costume. She just doesn't wear a hood or a mask or anything, which I think could make her character look way cooler. Emiko Queen is easily the worst villain we've ever gotten on Arrow, and I think the suit, it just doesn't look great. It's supposed to be, like a red version of the Green Arrow suit. It just doesn't look that good. I think they should have stuck with Dante as the main villain, even though he is just another tuxedo wearer. He wore it well, and I think he was a better villain overall than Emiko Queen. I've said this multiple times, but I think if Dante got more screen time, if he got time to build up a rivalry with Team Arrow and Oliver, and he got more intimidating scenes. He got a few cool scenes where he's throwing knives and stuff. I think Dante could have been way cooler. Emiko, not a good villain, bad acting from the actress, and not a very good suit. I don't think it fit her very well. I don't think it looked very good, and I think the design, like the way the suit is made, I think it's a pretty well made suit. It's just very underwhelming, and especially because we've seen so many like it, it's not very good. The Anti-Monitor, I'm putting him in the A tier since I don't think it's amazing. I do think it's well made, and I think it looks good. Anti-Monitor obviously is the main villain of the Crisis event, but he's kind of also the main villain of Arrow Season 8. But we didn't get to see him until Crisis, obviously. But it is a very well-made suit. I really like the makeup design. It's kind of a redesign. In the comics, he's kind of had multiple designs. He kind of has that weird helmet thing, and then he also has kind of like a normal pale face with like lines on it. In here, he just looks like a ball sack. It's all scrunched up and stuff. He's got prune face going on, which I think looks cool. And I think the design of the suit, the way it's made, and I just think it all looks really nice. But yeah, that's my list. Let's kind of switch things around now. Starting with D tier, I think Alice is probably gonna end up going in last place, and then I'm gonna be putting Mirror Mistress in the front of the D tier, and then I think this is my ideal ranking for F tier. Alice in last place, then Lachesis, then Vandal Savage, then Mirror Mistress, or Mirror Master, whatever you want to call her. Alright, for C tier, Rhea and Non are definitely going in the end. I think the Thinker should go there, and then Neron, and then Ra's al Ghul, and then Damien Darhk, and then alright, let's move Damien Darhk there, and then we're going to put Non here, then we're going to put Queen Rhea there. Alright, that's our new C tier. For B tier, we're going to put Gamma right in the front, and then we're going to put Emiko Queen up in the front, which I know I had a lot of negative things to say about her costume and a lot of positive things to say about Ricardo Diaz's costume. I just think overall Emiko looks better. And then we're going to put Lex Luthor in the end. Oops. I can't select Lex Luthor. Okay, there we go. So that's our new B tier. Lex Luthor, Ricardo Diaz, Emiko Queen, and then in first place we have Gamine, however you say that. A tier, we got a lot of work to do. Alright, so Rain, Mollis, let's move Cicada back here. Bloodwork, Prometheus is going to move up here. Alright, I'm having a hard time moving these into place, but alright, so we have Rain, and then I'm going to put Anti-Monitor in front of there. So we have Rain, Anti-Monitor, Prometheus, Bloodwork, what is it called? Dark Archer, Mollis, and then in last place in that, we're going to have Cicada. Alright, for S tier, alright, we're just going to switch Zoom and Savitar around. So I think Savitar looks a smidge better than Zoom. But I think Reverse Flash still has to take the cake, just because he's, the most used villain, and it's more iconic, and I think it's just better made. But yeah, and then we have Deathstroke in fourth place, just because I kind of like my Deathstrokes a little bit slimmer, and he's a little bit bulkier, but I do really love the costume and the mask and everything. I love Deathstroke, it's just, he doesn't really hold up to the speedster suits. But yeah, that's my ranking. So in 25th place, we have Alice. Then 24 is Lachesis. 23, Vandal Savage. 22, Mirror Master. 21, Queen Rhea. 20, Non. 19, Damien Dark. 18, Ra's al Ghul. 17, Neron. 16, The Thinker. 15, Lex Luthor. 14, Ricardo Diaz. 13, Emiko Queen. Gamine is at number 12. 11 is Cicada. 10 is Mollis. 9 is the Dark Archer. 8 is Bloodworks, Final Form. 7 is Prometheus. 6 is Anti-Monitor. 5 is Rain. 4 is Deathstroke. 3 is Zoom. 2 is Savitar. And in first place, we have Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash. So yeah, that is my ranking. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Put your ranking of all the villains in the Arrowverse from worst to best. You can include extra villains if you want. Maybe put Caden James in there, or Dr. Alchemy. Just more side villains like that. Yeah. Agent Liberty, Manchester Black are other ones that come to mind. But yeah. Put down in the comments what you thought. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for all my future content. See ya.